Good evening. On behalf of the Safe and Just Michigan Board of Directors, it's my privilege to welcome you to tonight's annual membership meeting. My name is Anna Cohn. I am the board president and have been a member of this esteemed board for almost 10 years. When I first began with Safe and Just Michigan, we were still known as CAPS, Citizens Alliance on Prisons and Public Spending. I felt fortunate to serve among a group of such accomplished criminal justice advocates, professionals, and academics leading the charge to end Michigan's overuse of correction spending and the over-reliance on incarceration. Since then, though almost everything about CAPS has evolved as we've transitioned into Safe and Just Michigan, including our team, the size of our staff, the broadening of our work, and the impact we've made here in Michigan, our core mission remains intact. Safe and Just Michigan has continued to work hard to ensure a future where everyone is safe in their own communities. Together, we can secure the resources and reforms needed to ensure the people most harmed and least served by the criminal justice system are able to heal and to thrive. 2023 has been a perfect example of what can be accomplished when powerful advocates, courageous lawmakers, and those directly impacted by our troublesome criminal justice system come together with a unified voice. The accomplishments of this year are worth celebrating. Tonight, you'll be hearing from staff and from leadership about the work we've done, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of our most significant achievements. On April 11th, 2023, automatic expungements went into effect for those who qualified. This allowed over 4.5 million conviction records to be sealed since April between the Michigan State Police and local courts. This is a massive number to comprehend and represents well over 10% of Michigan's population who benefited from this legislation. We're humbled to have led the charge with Clean Slate, and our board of directors is incredibly grateful for the tireless efforts of the staff who keep Safe and Just Michigan running every day. I want to thank Safe and Just Michigan's leadership. John Cooper, our Chief Executive Officer, Kate McCracken, our Chief Operating Officer, and Ken Nixon, who was hired this year as our Director of Outreach and Community Partnerships. I also want to thank our hardworking staff who made 2023 a banner year, including Veronica French, Ashley Belland, Barbara Wieland, Cassie LaRue, Dina Anderson, our newest hire, Jasmine Wells, our Policy Advocacy Manager, Kamau Sandiford, Rodney Waters, and Zach Whaley. We look forward to celebrating these successes as they continue, and we're excited to share what's on the horizon for 2024. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to John Cooper.
Thanks so much, Anna. And good evening, everyone. I'm going to give an overview of some of our accomplishments this past year. And I'm also going to talk a bit about the political climate that we're operating in. First, accomplishments. It goes without saying that the leading accomplishment for this past year was the implementation of the automatic expungement law. Anna flagged it in her remarks, and I just want to build on that a little bit. April 11, 2023 was the culmination of nearly 5 years of work for us. And as Kate reminded me this morning, today is actually 3 years to the day since Governor Whitmer signed the Clean Slate law. We were the third state to implement an automatic expungement, and our law is easily the broadest law enacted to date. Among other things, it was the first to automatically seal felony convictions. And it was also the first not to disqualify people from eligibility based on unpaid criminal justice debt, which in the states that preceded us, like Pennsylvania and Utah, actually unpaid criminal justice debt, fines, fees, restitution, actually disqualifies more than half of all eligible people. So this was a really, really huge development for us. Yesterday was 6 months of automatic expungement, and as Anna said, there have been over 4.5 million conviction records sealed. That's a number that will continuously increase over time as more and more records become eligible. A second, I think, pretty significant accomplishment that we haven't talked a lot about is reductions in phone fees in the Department of Corrections. Over the past 2 years, we've advocated for the elimination of exploitative phone surcharges and the special equipment fund that they flowed into, as well as for a reduction of phone fees, if not to zero, then to cost. And the result has been a reduction in phone fees from about 16 cents a minute to more like 7 cents a minute, which represents an annual savings to incarcerated people and their loved ones of $5 to $6 million a year. Third, and we've talked probably even less about this, there's a bill to create a sentencing commission that's very close to passing. And the backstory here is that for 25 years, Michigan's sentencing system has operated with little oversight. In 1998, the legislature passed the current sentencing guidelines, along with 100% truth in sentencing, and then defunded the commission that created the guidelines. Since that time, the system has operated with little accountability or oversight, and we believe that a commission is going to provide the oversight, technical assistance, data collection, and accountability that's needed to offer a vision of sentencing that is less punitive, more proportional, and that will minimize racial and geographic disparities. Finally, I'd like to highlight some of the research we're working on. We and partner organizations are collecting both quantitative and qualitative data from participants in our expungement fairs. We are doing focus groups with legal aid clients to identify additional legal barriers to employment and housing. And we're also working on a variety of other research projects to support our legislative campaigns. This includes an issue brief on recidivism rates for juvenile lifers, which we calculate to be less than 1%. This compares to 22% return to prison rates within 3 years for the general parolee population. I also think it's important to talk a little bit about the political environment we're operating in, because this is critical context for how our legislative priorities have fared so far this year. And the headline is that it's Democratic control, but inexperience and one vote margins in both chambers limit what's possible. So as many of you know, Democrats unexpectedly took control of both chambers of the legislature last fall. That was for the first time in nearly 40 years. It had been so long that we didn't know exactly how this would impact our work, but we were optimistic that we would have a more sympathetic majority and some allies in positions of power. And while this is true, it quickly also became clear that there might not be a majority of lawmakers in support of our priorities. I think this was the case for a few reasons. Numerous Democratic members, especially those in competitive seats, had faced accusations of being soft on crime in their campaigns in 22, and they were wary of reinforcing that narrative. Republicans from day one were focused on regaining control of the House and openly saw criminal justice policy as a way to attack Democrats as being soft on crime. Of course, Democrats know this and are hesitant to stick their necks out as a result. Finally, many Democratic staffers and members were new, and they were still learning how to be the majority and defend positions they're taking. And because of this, there was a hesitancy, a timidity, I would say, about engaging in fights they perceived as hard. And unfortunately, criminal justice issues fall within that that category. And with that, I will hand it over to Ronnie and Jasmine.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ronnie Waters, and I'll let my colleague Jasmine Well go first, and then we'll have my report out.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and I am the Policy and Advocacy Manager at Safe and Just earlier this year in May. Prior to working at SJM, I had the privilege of representing juvenile lifers as a mitigation specialist at SADO. So this work is very, very important to me. I don't want to assume that everyone is familiar with the background of juvenile life without parole, so I'll just briefly share some background about it. In 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that mandatory life without parole sentences are unconstitutional for children below age 18 that have been convicted of homicide. And in 2016, that law was made retroactive, which means that anyone who was ever sentenced to mandatory life without parole prior to the 2012 ruling must be resentenced to a term of years. This is an issue that SJM is very passionate about, and we are passionate about it for several reasons. Recidivism rates for people serving juvenile life without parole in the state of Michigan is extremely low. 181 juvenile lifers have been released in the state of Michigan, and only one person has reoffended, as John mentioned earlier, for a nonviolent crime, making the recidivism rate for juvenile lifers 0.55% or less than 1%. Additionally, studies have shown that long prison sentences don't deter crime, and they are costly. Michigan has the largest juvenile lifer population in the nation, and we spend more than $10 million a year to house juvenile lifers. Also, this is an issue that impacts mostly people of color. As of 2012, when the Supreme Court ruled in Miller versus Alabama, Black youth made up 70% of the juvenile lifer population. And lastly, research has shown that a child's brain and moral character are not fully developed into the mid-20s, and this research was something that was factored into the Supreme Court's ruling. And now I will pass it on back to Ronnie so that he can share updates.
Yeah, thanks, Daz. Again, my name is Ronnie Waters, Community Engagement Specialist, Safe and Just, and been working on JWOP for as long as I've been with Safe and Just. It's a real tough environment to get any criminal justice reforms passed, but we, Safe and Just, we know that this is a marathon and we won't give up. We can't give up. So believe that we're doing everything in our power to build coalitions and support around the issue. Was hoping that we could have a victory celebration by now, but that's not the case. So we continue to try to galvanize the support of faith-based communities. I've been to many churches, synagogues, and had luncheons with Muslim pastors. We always get strong support, and people want to know what else they can do. You can contact your legislators. We have lobby days, and many people showed up where we go to Republicans and Democratic offices, and we try to educate them on the issues that life without parole is something that can be passed and safely passed, because we believe in the statistics, and the statistics say that juvenile lifers simply do not reoffend. So we're working hard to get this message out. We not disturbed or deterred by any of the nonsense that's going on in Lansing. We just keep building and keep educating and trying to inspire people to change this law, that children are dying in Michigan prison. I know people say that life without parole, we don't have the death penalty in Michigan, but nevertheless, if you have life without parole, it's a very slim chance that you can get out. Only way you can get out of prison is for retroactive change in the law or by a sitting governor's commuting your sentence. So it's important that Michigan, which leads the nation in juvenile lifers, change the law. And we as Safe and Just Michigan will continue our efforts to make it happen. Thank you.
I'm Zach Whaley, one of the communication specialists here. I started here about 6 months ago, and one of the ways that we've been helping share those stories that Ronnie mentioned was through a video series that was started before my tenure here called Life Beyond Life. And our most recent episode of that is actually detailing Ronnie's story, and we're going to share that with you now.
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee in the year 1962. My family lived in this little city called Lebanon, Tennessee. A fun-loving kid, but I think that I had a lot of issues of insecurities, of not being good enough. The only reason I was born in Nashville because there was complications and the hospital did not admit Black people, so we had to go to the Black Medical Institution in Nashville. I was raised primarily by my mother, hardworking woman, Christian woman who was devoted to her kids. She didn't have much education, and that meant that she didn't get great jobs back then. I'm the youngest of four. She always found a way to support us. The best part of school for me was when I was able to participate in sports. I was a totally different person when, like, the coach would say, hey, we need you to do this, do that. I needed that structure in my life. I needed that type of attention, that type of monitoring. But without it, I was totally lost. I was always with the group of kids who like to get into trouble, like to have excitement, like to always have something going on. Whatever adrenaline rush came to us, that's what we did. No thought process, just reaction. Just, hey, let's get into this. Hey, what's going on over there? There's a lot of peer pressure to prove your worth. And we thought it was manhood if you accepted those challenges, you know. Hey, I'm no punk, I'll do it, you know. Scared to death, but I'll do it, you know. I was arrested in the 11th grade. This is the first time I ever carried a gun, ever in life, carried a pistol. Now, I did not intend for what happened to happen. I had seen this gun, it was a .22, you know, and I had seen it fired at abandoned cars. The bullet never completely penetrated a window. When I fired this gun at the window and the gun hit the window, there was a really, really loud explosion. It seemed like a cannon went off. It hit that window and it, like 1,000 pieces of glass just exploded, you know? And I was confused because I'd never seen this happen before. I did not know that the passenger side glass isn't as thick as the windshields. The young lady who was sitting in the passenger seat, bullet hit her and killed her. That wasn't my intentions, you know? I didn't mean for this to happen like that. The emotions and things that go through your mind when you start to realize that you done took a life, even though you didn't intend to take a life, you took it, and it was like, I don't know, it was a really strange, numbing, out-of-body experience, you know? Like, wow, this is what's going on, you know? And it's like, I can't really explain how you feel. I was going through the day and I was like, I wasn't there, man. I just wasn't there. I came home from school and someone said, hey man, your mother out there, she wants to speak to you. I went out there and she was like, Ronnie, the police called, they said they want to talk to you about a lady that got killed. And she was really crying and everything. So I was, oh mom, they talking to everybody in the neighborhood. That's nothing to worry about. They just want to talk to me because they talking to everybody else. When we went down there, you know, I said, hey, tell us what happened. And I was like, I don't know anything about that. I was over to my girlfriend. So I told them I was over to Felicia's house. That was my story. They say, look, everybody's saying that you didn't really mean to do it, but you need to come clean and tell us what's going on. But I'm thinking, oh, they trying to trick me. I don't know how they know this, you know? And that's how a juvenile think, well, they'll believe me, I guess. Like, come on, man, no one believes you. So I went back to the county jail thinking that, well, I'm gonna get bonded out. And they said, the judge said, no bail. And we raised your charge to first-degree murder. And that was it. I knew that I had did something wrong. And I knew that, I thought they were like 5 years or something for what I did, you know? I like, maybe 5 years helped me get myself together, because I'm out of control. When a juvenile gets life without parole, he can't really grasp that sentence. I've only been on this earth 17 years, so life to me was 17 years, you know? We have no idea or no way of grasping what life without parole means. You mean 40 years later, I'm still gonna be in prison? I never even imagined anything like that. It means till you are dead. My remorse is real, it's genuine, you know? Of course, spiritually, I talked to the woman who I killed, and I know she know the truth. She knew that this wasn't an intentional thing that I did. Now, did she forgive me for my actions? I'm not sure, but she knew that I wasn't the cold-blooded murderer that people were calling me. When I went to prison, I didn't feel that this was the place that I was gonna die at, you know? So I was like, what's the best thing to do, man, is try to make myself better. Found out they offered college courses and GED, and I was in those programs almost instantly. I remember the day that I was released. What I remember vividly about that day is the officer up there was giving us clothes to dress out in. They fit horribly, you know, the pants was up here too tight. I can't this shirt like this, you know, way up. And we were complaining. Everybody, hey man, I need some other clothes. I need a 38 and this, that, and that. And the officer come in there, he said, okay, sit over here and we get you guys later once I process these people out. And when he said that, everybody was like, man, these clothes fit fine. Walking out the parking lot, and instantly, I just seemed to let the penitentiary go, you know? Even though it was minutes ago I was locked down, but I just seemed to transform. A lot of times the things that people said were going to really give me problems and stuff, I haven't had those problems. And I don't know if that's because I always knew that I was better than how I was perceived. And it's also that I had a strong support system in place also. I can't get around that. You know, I've always had extremely strong support. Immediately, I started canvassing for Michigan liberation. I'm knocking doors, you know, trying to talk to people about criminal justice reform and stuff. One of my friends who was familiar with Safe and Just, he said, man, they got a position open for community engagement specialist. And he said, I want you to fill out an application and send it to him. I said, let's do it. And I sent it to him, and fortunately, they hired me. One of the reasons that I'm really enthusiastic about doing this work is because I know that some people come around you doing a good job and you know, and pat me on the back, and by no means do I feel exceptional, feel special. I know that there's so many other people who I left behind that are capable or more capable than me than coming out here and doing the same things I've done, and they deserve an opportunity too. So if I could shine light on them and use myself as an example of what you should be doing when you get your second chance, and telling people that I'm not exceptional, there are many others left behind just like me, just need the opportunity that I got. I had to persevere through a lot of really difficult days and difficult situations, but I just had to not give up. And it was really some dark days where, you know, it would be easy to give up, easier to give up. But I just couldn't. I just had to keep getting up and proceeding like I actually had an out day until I got an out day. And to keep planning for the future and to keep hope alive that there was going to be a future for me. The word that defines me, or if just one word, it would be perseverance. It's the ability to just keep on keeping on, the ability to stay focused and to just say, I'm going to grind, I'm going to not give up. So I always had the inspiration and the hope, and to not only me believe, to help others believe that we could get a second chance. I was in the penitentiary, but I never let the penitentiary get into me. I am Ronnie Waters, and I am a believer.
Hey everyone, I'm back to give you a quick update on our pretrial reform campaign. As many of you know, we've been working on bail reform for several years. The campaign stalled last session as then Judiciary Chair Graham Filler refused to bring the bills up for a hearing. With the new supportive committee chair this session, we'd hoped that we would have better prospects, but our understanding is that to date, leadership in the House has blocked the bills from a hearing out of concern about the potential political consequences of moving them. We continue to believe that bail reform is a common sense winning issue. We believe anyone who thinks otherwise has totally lost the plot. We're talking about a system that incarcerates legally innocent poor people for nonviolent crimes just because they're poor. It makes no sense. It's $1 billion industry for bail bondsmen and insurance companies. And I think we can all agree that it does not improve public safety. There's great research on that last point, by the way, that we're looking forward to sharing with lawmakers next year. Polling continues to bear out the popularity of bail reform. There is a ton of public support for this issue. People get it in ways that lawmakers don't. We've been involved in a poll recently that showed over 70% support for bail reform. We've been sharing this polling with legislative leadership, staff, and key members, and we are hoping this will help us position the bills to move in the spring. We have also been working on storytelling projects to support the bail reform campaign, and the next video is part of that effort. It was produced by our talented colleague, Zach Whaley.
I didn't know he was gonna do it. Every day I pray that his family found peace. So June 6th, I went to hang out with my friend because it was like his birthday. He saw this guy that he was, I guess, beefing with. He rolled down my back window and he shot the boy and he died. After that event, my life changed. There were, 5 police cars that pulled up. The next second, I was in handcuffs in the back of a police car. $7,500. That's a lot. It didn't matter that I was a straight A student. It didn't matter that I had no type of record. If I was somebody who had $10,000 to spare, I would have been home. The entire 3 months that I spent, I was in solitary confinement. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody that I could hug. I had to work really hard to not give up. I felt like if I had to go through that one more day, I would just end it all. I don't think I'll ever be the same person. Had the bail project not gotten involved, I would have taken the plea deal. I would have missed my senior year. I did job shadowing for a construction student council. I did Jobs for Michigan's graduate. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do any of that from inside of a jail cell. The way that we treat criminals in this country is like we treat people like they aren't people. We abolished slavery just to find another form of it. People are people still. Even when they do something wrong, people make mistakes. Good people make bad decisions all the time. It's a part of growing up, it's a part of life.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kamal Sandyfoot, and I am the Clean Slate Program Manager at Safe and Just Michigan. I'm just going to update you guys on some of the work that we've done so far this year. As Anna and John alluded to, there's been some significant developments when it comes to Michigan's Clean Slate law. Specifically, again, as John and Anna mentioned, the state implemented its own automated expungement system, which now allows for the automatic expungement of certain eligible offenses. We really can't understate the significance of this because now it means that people no longer have to petition for the removal of those offenses. As some of you know, the petition process is very complicated and time-consuming, and this can be overwhelming for a number of people. So the fact that there is a process that allows people to have their offenses automatically expunged is significant. Just to build on some of the numbers that John and Anna mentioned earlier, The state of Michigan is reporting that as many as 887,000 people have had at least one conviction automatically expunged. Additionally, as many as 277,000 people have had their entire criminal history automatically expunged. Even with this new system in place, we recognize that the demand for expungement services has not waned. I can say from personal experience, every time we go to have a fair, there's often people around the block looking for those services. And we continue to work with our partners across the state to coordinate expungement fairs. Together with our partners, we've been involved in roughly 20 expungement fairs so far this year, serving over 3,000 people. I personally would like to thank a number of the organizations that we've been involved with, specifically the legal aid organizations. They've been instrumental in helping us throughout the year. Additionally, the Michigan Attorney General's office has been also very supportive when it comes to our expungement events. Despite these positive changes, I think everyone recognizes that there's still room for improvement. As some of you know, the state has yet to develop a public clean slate portal that would allow for people to identify which of their offenses have been automatically expunged. We have been and will continue to advocate for the establishment of a portal, as we believe that is the next logical step in this process. Ultimately, we believe that people cannot truly benefit from these changes in the law if they aren't even aware of such changes and the impact that those changes will have in their daily lives. So moving forward, we hope to advocate for the introduction of such a portal. We recognize again that the system is far from perfect, but we will continue to strive for improvements that will make it easier for people to navigate the expungement process. All right, so with that being said, I'll turn it over to my colleague Ken and John and Kate to.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kenneth Nixon, and I am the Director of Outreach and Community Partnerships here at Safe and Just Michigan. And in the fall of last year, we embarked on a journey to start a strategic planning process. During the course of that process, we've talked to staff members, board members, stakeholders, and now we would like to hear from our community members, people that support us, and have a voice. We want you to have a voice in the way that we move forward here as an organization. With that in mind, my colleague Kate is going to put the survey in the chat, and we'd like for everybody to take the survey. Give us an idea of what your thoughts are on how we should move forward as an organization in the future. If there's specific areas that you think that we should be looking into, or at least give a glance at, please take the time to fill out the survey. And Kate.
Thanks, Ken. Hi, everyone. I am Kate McCracken, the Chief Operating Officer at Safe and Just Michigan. And wow, do I have the pleasure of working with these amazing people. Not even our full team is here on screen tonight, but I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on how big, as Anna had shared earlier, our organization has grown since John and I joined the organization nearly 6.5 years ago. There are familiar faces at our organization, like Dina Anderson, our membership services specialist, who's been with our organization for over a decade. And she works tirelessly and with great passion to communicate with our stakeholders, both on the inside of prison and the outside. And we have new faces too, as you've met Jasmine Wells and Ken Nixon tonight. They both have a deep passion for criminal justice and have an ability to connect with really diverse stakeholders. And then our comms team is a combination of new and old faces. We have Barbara Wieland and Zach Whaley, who Zach you met tonight, and they bring really amazing and creative skills to our work, some of which was showcased tonight with the 2 videos that were shown that were both produced in-house. And I just can't say enough about how that excites me from when I started the organization, and we were simply posting just pictures we took ourselves on Facebook, and we've really come a long way with sharing stories that really help advance our campaigns. Our team has been really busy, as Kamau shared, across the state, with nearly hosting 4 expungement fairs a month. We've been tabling at events in Detroit, Jackson, Ypsilanti, Kalamazoo, Lansing, and so many other communities to educate people about Michigan's clean slate laws. And if you attended one of these events or expungement fairs, you would have likely seen Ronnie Waters or Kamau Sandiford, Cassie, Erica, or Ashley helping navigate people through the system. While our team is really busy in the community, we have team members like Veronica French and Sonnet Yancey that have been busy behind the scenes running iChats and answering phone calls and emails to help answer questions about expungements. We get so many calls every single day with inquiries, and we have a team that really tirelessly tries to help people have the information they need so they can move forward in their lives. It's really been a pleasure for John and I to work with such a dedicated team. We have so much talent, and we hope all of you get a chance to meet them in person at one of our upcoming events. And speaking of an amazing team, I get to hand it back over to Anna Cohn, our fearless board president, who I admire so much. She is smart, savvy, passionate. She's a fearless leader, and we are so lucky to have her as our board president, and she's going to lead our board elections tonight.
Thanks, Kate. I appreciate that. Hi, it's me again, Anna. Tonight I will be facilitating the Safe and Just Michigan board elections. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge 2 of our outgoing board members. Sherry Ware, Executive Director of Still Standing in Detroit, joined our board in 2017. Her experience serving both survivors and perpetrators of domestic violence brought a unique and important restorative lens to our board discussions. We commend her for her 6 years of service to Safe and Just Michigan and will greatly miss her. And we look forward to continuing opportunities to partner with her and Still Standing. Craig DeRoche joined our board in 2020, and we greatly appreciate his 3 years of service. Craig is the president and CEO of Family Policy Alliance. As a formerly incarcerated person and leader in the faith community, he shared important insights and strategic connections to our campaigns over the years. We thank Craig for his service and look forward to working with him in the years to come. Now it is time to turn to our board elections. As guests this evening, we consider you a member of our organization, so this allows you to vote in our board elections. We have 2 individuals currently on our board who are seeking re-election for a 3-year term, and 5 individuals up for election for the first time. Our full board approved this slate of candidates at our October 5th, 2023 board meeting. So for our virtual audience, a poll will be launched to allow you to vote yes or no for this nomination. You can find the poll tab on the right, I think this is right side of your screen in the chat box. So first up, we have Eileen Hayes. Eileen Hayes is seeking re-election to our board for a 3-year term. She has served on our board since 2017. She's the executive director of Michigan Faith in Action, a faith-based movement developing a new Michigan that acknowledges the right and creates the opportunity for all to experience social and economic justice equally. Please turn to your poll tab that likely just popped up for you to place your vote for yes or for no for Eileen's re-election to the Safe and Just Michigan board. Congratulations, Eileen. It's a pleasure to continue to work with you. Joe Haveman is seeking re-election to our board for a 3-year term. He has served on our board since 2020. He's the Director of Government Relations for Hope Network, a nonprofit organization operating across the state of Michigan, serving people experiencing physical, mental, or social barriers that impact how they live. He also served the state of Michigan as a former Republican state representative from 2009 to 2014. Please turn to your poll tab on the right hand of your screen to place your vote for Joe's reelection to the Safe and Just Michigan Board. Great, thank you so much, and welcome, re-welcome Joe to our Board of Directors. Next up, we are going to go to our new class of board members, new candidates, which we're really, really excited about, starting with Tracy Weaver Brame. She is seeking election to our board for a 3-year term. She is the Associate Dean of Experiential and Practice Preparation at Western Michigan University and the Director of Western Michigan University's Cooley Innocence Project. She has widespread experience as a lawyer and as an educator. Please turn to your poll tab to register your vote. Thank you so much, and welcome, Tracy. Next up, Jose Burgos. Jose is seeking election to our board for a 3-year term. He is the Michigan Campaign Coordinator for the Campaign for the Fair Sentencing of Youth. Prior to this role, he served for 4 years as a reentry specialist for the State Appellate Defender's Office, Project Reentry. Jose is a former juvenile lifer and served 27 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. His lived experience, combined with his professional experience delivering reentry services, will surely be an asset to the Safe and Just Michigan Board. Please turn to your poll tab and register your vote for Jose Burgos. Great, thank you. Next up, Ms. Judith Gracie is seeking election to our board for a 3-year term. She is a practicing attorney with offices located in Keiko Harbor. Judith has an active trial practice in the areas of federal, criminal, family, probate and estates, sports, and personal injury law. She's an active member of the Oakland County Bar Association, the Michigan State Bar, and the Federal Bar Association. Judith was appointed by Governor Granholm to the Appellate Defender Commission in 2007 and reappointed by Governor Snyder in 2011 and 2015 and by Governor Whitmer in 2019. She was also appointed by Governor Rick Snyder to the Indigent Defense Advisory Commission. We would be remiss not to congratulate Ms. Gracie as well on her reappointment as acting chair of the Appellate Defender Commission by Governor Whitmer just yesterday. And please take a moment to register your vote. Thank you. Next up, we have, sorry about that. We have Anthony Legion, who will be running for a 3-year term. Anthony is the lead appellate paralegal at Wolf Law. His professional career began with experience supporting his own appellate defense after a wrongful conviction of first-degree murder in October of 2001. He was exonerated in 2020 after 19 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Please turn to your poll tab and register your vote for Mr. Anthony Legion. Thank you. Lastly, we have Dr. Jeffrey Morinoff. Dr. Morinoff is seeking election to our board for a 3-year term. Dr. Morinoff is the Associate Dean for Research and Policy Engagement at University of Michigan's Ford School. His portfolio of courses includes criminology and criminal justice policy. He regularly teaches courses through the Inside Out exchange program at the University of Michigan. In 2014, Dr. Morinoff was recognized in Thomson Reuters' list of highly cited researchers, a distinction given to researchers whose work has been officially designated by Essential Science Indicators as ranking among the top 1% most cited for their subject, field, and year of publication. Please turn to your poll tab and register your vote for Dr. Jeffrey Morinoff for a 3-year term to the Safe and Just Michigan Board. Thanks so much to you all. I see we have overwhelming support for all of the elections to the board. On behalf of our incumbent board members, including Vice President Monica Janer, our Treasurer, Dr. Jennifer Kobina-Dungy, and one of our founding directors, Gary Ashby, we would like to thank you all for participating in this evening's board elections. We greatly appreciate your input. I think you'll agree that these newly elected directors are a true testament to who we've become as an organization. In my conversations and messages with each new board director, it was evident that Safe and Just Michigan has garnered a reputation of integrity, demonstrated by the caliber of individuals who are joining this team. Your presence here this evening is also a clear indication of the impact we've made. For that, we thank you. Safe and Just Michigan relies on the generosity of our members, of our partner foundations and grants as we continue this work. As you plan your charitable giving for the year, we hope you'll consider Safe and Just Michigan among the worthy causes you proudly support. Your financial commitment enables us to execute research, analysis, legislative relationship building, and communication so we may win important corrections reforms and build momentum for even more. Safe and Just Michigan promotes investment in local solutions, such as violence prevention, substance use disorder, and crime survivor services for individual health and well-being. On behalf of our new board of directors, we are so grateful for your contributions and efforts to keep Safe and Just Michigan active, relevant, and resilient. Thank you for your consideration. Now back to John to wrap up our evening together.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks to all of you for electing such a wonderful group of new board members. We are so excited what the new members are going to bring to our organization. I just want to leave you guys briefly with a look ahead to this coming year. So, big picture, the entire session has been a proxy battle over the 24 election, and it's hard to see that changing. But we are going to continue to push forward on our existing priorities. I think we have really positive strategies to move those issues forward. And we've also identified some additional priorities that we think we can move forward in this political environment. And I'm just going to run through them quickly. First, clean slate cleanup bills and an online portal. There are several ways we can improve the clean slate law and expand its impact. The first of these, as Kamau mentioned, is by creating a free online portal for people to check their records to confirm they've been sealed. Obviously, if people cannot confirm their records have been sealed, they will continue to check the box, and the law will not have the impact that it should. Further, the existing method for checking one's record, the Michigan State Police's iChat system, costs $10 a search and lacks a complete set of records, as it does not include the less than 93-day misdemeanors that are being sealed separately by the courts. Beyond this, we can reduce the impact of convictions that occur during the 7 and 10-year waiting periods in the automatic expungement. And we can also pass new legislation to reduce the impact of old open cases that were charged but not pursued by prosecutors. The second area we're going to be focusing is removing barriers to employment and healthcare. This is a really interesting area that we actually learned about from talking to Trinity Healthcare a few years back. They had a radiology tech who got I think it was a second drunk driving on the weekend. And they worked with him around 2 weeks in jail so that he'd come back to work. And the day he came back, Trinity got a letter from the state licensing agency, LARA, saying, "We're sorry, but this person is not eligible to work at your facility for 12 years. And it turns out that any felony in Michigan can cost a person the ability to work in a hospital for the next 10 years. And that does not make any sense from a policy standpoint. Hospitals are struggling to stay staffed. There's a massive workforce shortage. And people with records are having a hard time finding jobs. So why are we doing this? So that the campaign is going to be to loosen up those restrictions, possibly eliminate them, and then work with healthcare companies, but also reentry providers and workforce development agencies to build a pipeline to employment in the healthcare sector for people with criminal records. Finally, we are going to be working on reducing and eliminating fees in the prison system. This is a relatively new priority. I think you all know about the phone fees. I mentioned them earlier, but there's a host of other exploitative fees in the prison system that warrant our attention, from medical copays to commissary markups to JPay fees and the like. In the coming months, we're going to ask the chairs of the MDOC budget in both chambers to reduce or eliminate these fees and replace the lost revenue with money from the general fund. Because we're in the early stages of planning this effort, we would welcome feedback from you all and welcome recommendations about what kinds of fees we should prioritize in this effort. With that, I'm going to wrap things up and wish everyone a good night. Thanks so much for joining us. And we appreciate your support, and we look forward to working with you toward a safer and more just Michigan. Thanks.